Great to have you with us here from our studios at downtown Summerlin City National Arena, K-Tan. On a Monday, the Golden Knights getting back to it here after the NHL's All-Star break and the VGK bye week. Dave Goucher with Gary Lawless here on this Monday. I'm going to open it up with an announcement. I did not move west for driving rain in mid-40s in early February. I could have stayed in the Northeast, but nonetheless, we press on here. What'd you do? So you've got to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's game's on ESPN Plus, so I'm trying to ease my way back into this. I'm tired. How was your break? What'd you do?
My break was excellent.
Yep.
Lots of stuff with my daughter, which is, sometimes during the season you miss some stuff, but got to take in all of her hockey and some school stuff. I went to a wedding, and the officiant was none other than David C. Goucher.
Was
the
poor.
Man on my right. No, I was actually. I want to give you your props. And celebrities like you are involved in other people's events. Sometimes they have a tendency to make it about themselves. No, you did not do that.
That's good.
You stayed on. You stayed on script. You did. You added some flourish, which you should. They didn't hire you just to be run of the mill.
Right.
They wanted someone good, and they got it. It was the wedding was beautiful, and I got to see some friends. I kind of had. Darren Millard says I failed. I had what you call damp January, I guess, or it was supposed to be dry January.
Yeah.
But I had a glass of wine at a dinner, in mid-month, and then we went to New York City. And I had a beer and a Jameson's at dinner with you and Shane.
Yep.
And then that was it. That was all the booze I had. So then on Saturday night, it turns out that it was a family member of Shane, and he was buying the booze.
Daughter.
So I was trying to drink as much as I could.
So you went off the rails.
To run up Shane's bill.
Saturday. I would have.
Not really.
No question.
No,
I would have.
No.
Even in my so Shane's daughter, Tegan, lovely girl, great girl, and her now husband, Kobe. Congratulations to them, and just an honor to officiate their wedding the other day. So in my little thingy, in the little ceremony, right near the beginning, I said, before we get to the I do's and the open bar, Shane, by the way, which lasted until 10:30. I encourage everyone to go plan accordingly by 10:25 and drive up Shane's bill because he hadn't spent enough money just yet on the nuptials. But no, it was a blast. It was a great time.
Yeah, it was really good.
He had a ton of people, as you might imagine, in from Canada, from Manitoba, so a lot of fun. And as they say now, the Golden Knights trying to get back into it here a little bit. We have confirmed the birthday boy says right here on my text machine is going to join us today. Nick Waugh is going to come here at 27 years young. So he will join us on the program.
We're still young.
He's still, yeah. I thought I was like, I don't know if I thought he was older or not. Somebody kind of threw out a higher number. I said, I don't know if he's that old. 27 is still.
I thought he was 27. But
Yeah.
when it's thrown at you again, he's still a young man, and I think just kind of really reaching the height of his powers, and right now probably playing the best hockey of his career, and maybe before the break. Well, in my opinion, I said for a number of games, he was the best player on the ice.
Yeah.
He was very impactful.
And jumped in where they really needed him, right? When Jack Eichel's spot on that line with Marchessault and Barbashev.
He's the number one center for the Vegas Golden Knights right now.
Yeah, so happy birthday to Nick Waugh. He will, whether fortunately or unfortunately, join us for some of his birthday here on K-Tan. We'll also hoping to hear from head coach Bruce Cassidy, his live post-practice media availability. The Golden Knights got back yesterday, got a practice in. They just finished another one here today. And just a quick update from that practice. Good news, William Karlsson in a regular jersey today, centering a line with Michael Amadio on one side. They had either Brendan Brisson or Sheldon Rempel on the other. Ben Hutton, non-contact red, but back with the team as well. And then their fourth line consisted of Brett Howden, Keegan Colasar, Jonas Ronbjerg back up. But, of all that, obviously, William Karlsson, he's been so good again this year. He's been out right after Winter Classic was his last game, right? So you're talking just over a month, but back in a regular jersey at practice today.
He was in a regular jersey yesterday as well, and so my assumption, and Bruce will, if we get to carry him live, will probably shed better light on it than this. But you have to think he's playing tomorrow night, which is he was playing some of the best hockey of his career when he got injured, and has been, just tremendous for the Golden Knights. Well, he's been tremendous for 7 years, 7 seasons, but had elevated things offensively, continued his elite two-way play. I was listening to somebody talk the other day about, the best two-way centers in the NHL, and they're listing them all off, and I'm like, and they never mentioned William Karlsson.
Yeah.
And it is, to me, one of the great shames of, players playing on the West Coast. And it's funny, most of my time, covering the NHL was from when I was in Winnipeg prior to coming here, and you're right in the middle. So you do watch the Eastern games, and you do watch the late games. A lot of people on the East, they watch the first set of games, and then it's 10:30 wherever they are, and they go to sleep, and they don't watch the Western Conference games. And as a result, some players are a secret. It took Drew Doughty a long time to win a Norris Trophy, and I don't even know if he deserved it the year he won it. It was almost like, we missed him a couple of years ago when he should have won it. We're going to give it to him this year. Karlsson should have been far more prevalent in the Selke conversation throughout his career in his time in Vegas than he has been, in my opinion.
They did lose a player off waivers, right? Or two waivers in Braden Pahal. So he goes to Calgary, and there was a video that made its rounds on Twitter yesterday of him saying goodbye to his teammates right here at CNA, coming out to the bench area where he had just gotten the news. So, a player that the Golden Knights signed as an undrafted free agent out of the Western League in Prince Albert. What do you make of the Golden Knights losing him? Is this kind of a numbers issue here?
Yeah, they just have it's funny. The old expression is, to win the Stanley Cup, you need 10 defensemen, because, guys block shots, guys, they do a lot of things which can result in them getting hurt. And you have to have NHL caliber defensemen to win. And so you need 3 or 4 in reserve. Well, Vegas, you say Ben Hutton is returning. Miramanoff was out there today. Tobias Bjornfoot was also out there today. Their decisions are going to have to be made and made in the interim. And Miramanoff had been in Henderson on a conditioning stint, and my guess is that it had expired, so they had to bring him back, and that they needed to make room for him. And Braden placed on waivers. I got to talk to him briefly yesterday. Listen, you will cover the ground. Signed here, has an undrafted free agent, really good player in Henderson for the Silver Knights. Made his way to the NHL. Bruce Cassidy trusted him, used him quite a bit last year. His name's on the Stanley Cup.
Right.
He dressed in playoff games for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then, numbers, he got pushed out here. He'll go to Calgary, and he'll be in the lineup. I texted with some of their management folks just to say what a good young man they were getting. And their response was, we're getting a really good player, and we can't wait to watch him continue to grow.
We'll come back to the Braden Pahal, Bruce Cassidy's press conference here underway at City National Arena. We're going to pick that up live here on KTAN.
Break right to April. And you hope if you're in a good enough position the last few days in April, you're not sweating it out to the end. It's something to play for probably, but you're not. You're in a pretty good spot, you feel like, if you don't get some breaks and lose some games. So that's kind of, we're in the stretch now. We're at 50. So yeah, for the next probably 25, 30 games, that's our goal for our team. Let's button up and let's not give points away anymore because you played mismanaged pucks, things that you can easily correct. If the other team's better than you, they're better than you, but don't give away points that you look back on that you beat yourself, basically. So that's kind of the mode I hope our team's in, and it just requires a little more focus and a little more attention to detail.
Bruce, you got a team coming in here on a 16-game winning streak. I just want to do a couple things. First, what's the longest streak you've kind of been a part of, and kind of what's the mentality when you're just stacking up games like that? You guys kind of went on one of the games.
So we had one at the start, so I'll go with recent history. Last year, I think we started well too, but I don't know if there was 10 in a row or whatever it was. It wasn't 16, I know that, because they would have said it might have been a record.
Yeah.
So what's going through your mind is usually as a coach, how are we winning? Are we doing it the right way or not? Or are we getting lucky? Or we're playing half a game, we're playing 3/4 of a game. So there's a little bit of that for a coach. You want to make sure it's not, smoke and mirrors, that you can sustain it. So that's what you're always looking for. I thought at the start of the year this year, we played 30 to 40 minutes and we're able to pull it off for whatever reason. We're getting timely goals, timely saves. I don't think any team's really hitting the ground running at the start of the year where they're 100% on their game. So it was a little bit of that. We were good enough in spots, found ways to win because we're a good team and our players would step up. And then it caught up to us. We started losing some games and actually played a little better some nights, but because of what happened earlier, so that the law of averages, I guess. I always found that towards the end of a streak, good or bad, you can almost tell when it's going to end because you're really getting lucky. If you're on a winning streak, if you're on a losing streak, it's almost the opposite. You're outplaying the team. You lose 3-2 because the other guy stopped 50 shots and you hit 3 posts, but you know you're coming out of it. That's the way I've always looked at streaks, and that's what happened to us. I thought we weren't playing as well as we should be, and at the end it showed, and teams caught us.
Is there motivation to end this for you guys?
Well, there's motivation to beat Edmonton, because they're in our division. We'd like to stay ahead of them. We'd like to, keep accumulating points. So I'd say it's more about that. I don't think anybody's going to care 5 years from now if we ended a chance to break a record. I think Edmonton and Pittsburgh in this case probably care the most. So for us, it's less about that and probably just more we want to beat a good hockey team. And there's certain games during the year that you use as measuring sticks or statements, whatever you use the adjective, and usually the division rival, which I think we're becoming with Edmonton, is going to be one of those games. For us, it's Colorado, a little bit of Dallas because we've started to play them in the playoffs. Vancouver, no, because they weren't there with us, but that could become one. But I think it was San Jose years ago for Vegas before I got here, but now that's kind of dissipated.
It's always interesting for us because in the media we got to talk about the street, and all the fans are talking about the street, and none of the Oilers players and none of your players are talking about the street. It's like it only exists outside the dressing room. Would your players quietly love to knock a rival off of one of these things?
I think, as I said, they just want to beat them. There was bad blood last year, so I don't know that if they came in here on a 2-game streak, I think we'd have the same approach. I really do, because they're not concerned, as I said, about the streaks. It has nothing to do with us. I would think Edmonton, I'd be surprised. They don't want to talk about it probably because it becomes a bit of a let's taboo thing if you do, maybe. I like talking about a shutout in the third period for a goalie. So maybe they're just like, well, we don't want to talk about it. But I got a feeling why wouldn't they? You should enjoy it. I mean, it might set a record. I mean, it's not a record that you're going to sit there and say, well, this is the greatest of all time. It's a record. So, and you're part of that, so you should feel pride in it. I would if I was in that locker room. So deep down, I feel like they want to do it more than just get the 2 points, because it's really hard to do. There's a reason it's a record, right? No one else has done it. So that would be my guess over there, but I'm not in their locker room. But our guys, I bet there's some guys that didn't even know. I bet that, that's how players are a little bit. They're in their own world a little bit in season. They know who's doing well and who's not, but they might not know the exact details of every team and where they're at, and those type of things.
When you have a dressing room full of guys that are just getting off the plane from the capital, you've been coaching a long time. Do you know what you're going to get in the first game back?
I feel we'll get a good effort. I think our guys needed this break. We were running on fumes at the end, finished on the road, 2 back-to-backs. I think it showed in Detroit. We didn't play great. We had to really push in New York to get points. So for us, I think they'll be refreshed. Long year last year, short summer. So this break probably meant more to us and maybe Florida or whatever teams that played a little longer that are going through injuries means a little more. Edmonton probably, my guess is, would have rather just kept right on going, right, when you're winning and they're healthy. So 2 different teams in 2 different places. But I believe, to answer your question, our guys, we had good energy yesterday. I think it's a tight-knit group, so even though some of them went away with each other, some didn't. They're happy to see each other, be around each other, start with the chirping again. And so that part of it has been good energy, and I think we'll play fine tomorrow. We're going to have to be better than fine, but to answer your question, I don't see us laying an egg tomorrow because we've been off. I think our effort will be there, whether we execute well enough. I mean, that depends on a lot of different things, right?
Expect to start getting some guys back now.
Yeah, Hill came back last trip. Amadio came back. Carlson's skating. We anticipate he'll play. That'll be a decision made tomorrow. but nobody else coming in. But there are other guys that are back skating on their own, so that's a positive steps. What their timeline is, I don't know yet. No, we're going to play the 6D we ended with, is our plan for tomorrow, which is Korzak basically in Theodore's spot.
Can I get your opinion on just going back to the Olympics and how important it is for some of those guys? And, they've missed two, and some of those guys have been really pushing. They want to play the best on the best. I imagine the same thing here for some guys. But just a thought on
Yes.
going back.
I think every player, I would say 99.9 would want to represent their, I'd say 100. I mean, who doesn't want to represent their country? Unless they've been there before and had a really poor experience maybe, or something to that effect. But, they have a lot of pride, every guy in this league, and they'd want to do it. Would be my thought. I know as a coach, I've never, I was going to be on Team Canada's coaching staff, and I was really disappointed. And I'm just, I'm not playing, they're playing. So I can imagine the disappointment they had. So I think everyone's probably in the same boat there, especially the guys that missed because now they're aging out a little bit of the selection process. Those are the guys I feel for because they might have missed an opportunity. I guess they'll see who gets picked down the road.
What about having in addition to the Olympics, but every other couple years after that having a World Cup hockey too?
Yeah, you know what? That is different than the Olympics, but I think the guys will enjoy it. It's different. But if you're doing both teams every 2 years, like say McDavid, who's still younger, the younger guys, Makar and those, that might do it 5 or 6 every second year, they might have a different opinion on that. So I don't know on that one, but it's good for hockey. Everyone wants to see best on best. I think the World Cups have generated as much attention as the Olympics, sometimes more because of the time they're on even. Like I know the one the U.S. won was in Montreal. They beat Canada, the American team. Like that was one of those, right? It was, so and that people still talk about that. So, and it wasn't an Olympics. So sometimes they're almost more viewed just because of the timing where they're played. Good, thank you.
All right, so that is Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy. His post-practice media availability, lots to pick through. We will do that for you momentarily. But before that, fans, reminder for you with the Super Bowl in town, there is action across the valley, including at the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. Check out the Celebrity Sweat Flag Football Challenge on Thursday or AEW Collision Pro Wrestling on Saturday. Visit thedollarloancenter.com for tickets and more details. Dave Goucher, Gary Lawless with you, nighttime at noon. We'll get to what the head coach had to say. Lots more. And again, Nick Wall will join the program as well. K-Tan with you on Fox Sports Las Vegas. And great to have you with us here on this rainy Monday in the Valley, nighttime at noon. Dave Goucher, Gary Lawless, and great to have you with us as well on all of our team's digital channels. The Foley Food and Wine Society was created to celebrate three of Bill and Carol Foley's greatest passions: world-class wines, exceptional cuisine, and magnificent travel destinations. Members of the society will have access to the entire portfolio of properties around the world and have exclusive opportunity to join like-minded individuals who seek to experience the finer things in life. Check it out. Join it for free today. Go to FoleyFoodAndWineSociety.com. Lots to get through, Gary, from Bruce Cassidy's press conference here, and in no particular order. So the Edmonton Oilers are here tomorrow, right? And I was saying to you off the air, so they've tied Columbus's record of 16 straight wins. I had no recollection of Columbus winning 16 in a row back in the 16-17 season, but it says here on the laptop they did.
Columbus and Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
No, 16. Well, 16 for Columbus. They've tied Columbus's record.
I thought Pittsburgh won 16 as well.
17.
17. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm trying to tie
Columbus.
Pittsburgh all time tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. I
So,
apologize.
yeah, the Oilers at 16 in a row, and I found it hard to believe those Oilers teams in the 80s didn't rip off 16, 18, but they won a bunch of cups anyway.
Well, but the other thing that got in their way there were ties back then.
Right,
so this
right.
is wins. Like
Yep.
the Flyers went 36 or 37 undefeated. They had ties.
Right.
Right? So, like the Penguins, they won 17 in a row. Their streak ends with a tie. They tied somebody 6-6. 6-6 back in that era.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
6-6.
You know, like that with
Yeah.
Tom Barrasso and Net and Lemieux and Jagger and, all those great players. They didn't even win the Cup that year in
Right.
92, 93. The Canadians won. So
They were going for the three-peat, right? And they got beat by the Islanders in 7 in overtime.
Yeah, the Islanders.
So-
And then, Pierre Turgeon was the real driving force for the Islanders. And I think Dale Hunter knocked him out of the playoffs with
Yeah, sure
cross
did.
check.
So, and it's amazing how far the Oilers, the amount of ground they've had to make up, right? They started 2-7-1. So my rough math since the coaching change, Chris Knobloch taking over, they've gone 26-6 with him behind the bench, including now that's winning 16 in a row, but they're still behind the Golden Knights and Vancouver in the Pacific Division.
And Bruce was talking about this a little bit yesterday, and he said, well, they've changed the way they defend. And it wasn't Knobloch. It was Jay Woodcroft. After the Golden Knights knocked the Oilers out last year, they said, okay, we got to be more like them. So they changed the way they defend. They play the same way as the Golden Knights now. And Bruce said, I recognize it. I've coached it for 15 years. So, I think, Woodcroft kind of, I think they were struggling, just like the Golden Knights did a little bit, to figure out how to play that style and for it to, to accept it and to trust it. And because there are some things you do in it, like, the puck may stay in your zone and kind of zip around the perimeter for quite a while. You might even get some shots from the perimeter, but it so long as you're protecting the interior, it's okay. That takes a while to get used to. And then McDavid was hurt. So a lot of things kind of happen at once. All of a sudden they start. Skinner has been on a real tear. He's been fantastic. It sounds like they've, Paul Coffey jumped behind the bench alongside Knobloch, and he has worked with the D, and I think really kind of helped them figure out how to play this system that they're playing. And listen, I fully admit I was questioning whether they were going to be a playoff team because it just didn't. You couldn't figure out how they were going to turn things around, and then they played. McDavid played hurt at the Heritage Classic. He was still he came back early, and then after that they kind of really went on their tear.
So they like the Golden Knights have been on the bye, right? So their first game out of it's tomorrow here at T-Mobile Arena. They're still 5 points behind Vegas in the Pacific, but they've got a 5-point cushion now in a playoff spot in the West due to the Oilers. So as of today, they're third in the Pacific. And we'll get to L.A. later. They make a coaching change. The Kings and the Blues are the wild card teams. I did want to put just a bow a little bit, Gary, on. We talked about Braden Paul, the Golden Knights losing to Calgary, on waivers yesterday. To your point, they've got 10 defensemen in the mix right now, right? The six that you heard Bruce Cassidy talk about that they ended before the bye with. They're expected to play tomorrow, those six. Shea Theodore, see when he's going to return here coming off surgery. Ben Hutton back skating, albeit non-contact reds, and Ilmir Manoff. You'd have to clear waivers if they send him to Henderson, and Toby Bjornfoot, who's, he played and got injured. So they have 10. So you wonder why, Pahal, well, isn't that, what are you going to do? You can't, it's a lot of guys to keep. Too many to keep.
Well, it is. You have salary cap issues.
Yeah.
You have contract issues. Lots of. There's more to come here because, they potentially could carry 8. They could not carry 9. So, right now, once Hutton and Bjornfoot are allowed to, once they are cleared and rejoin the roster, you're going to be at 8, and then Theodore you would think is a little farther down the road because he's not skating with the team. At some point in time, they're going to have to try and send somebody back to Henderson. Caden Korzak is an NHL player and a really good one right now. He does not require waivers. He could go back to Henderson. So that that'll be a conversation between Kelly McCrimmon and Bruce Cassidy, because Bruce has choices tonight, and he's putting Korzak in, which tells you a lot about what he thinks of him.
Jumped in Shea Theodore's spot, right?
Yep.
He's been playing with Braden McNabb. So we'll step aside here nighttime at noon. He said we're expected to be joined by Nick Waugh here on the show. And you heard Bruce Cassidy. He was asked several questions about during this All-Star weekend, the NHL announcing they're going back to the Olympics in 2026 and in 2030. There's also going to be a 4 Nations tournament held in 2025. So we're going to get to all of that, a lot of different things, the possibility of expansion, relocation, where does all that stand as well. So lots of that to cover. Before we step aside, we want to remind you that if you ever wanted to own a piece of VGK history, VGK Authentics is the official channel for game-used items coming off the ice, from game-used pucks to game-worn jerseys and everything in between. Owning something from your favorite Golden Knights player has never been so easy. Shop VGK Authentics on VegasTeamStore.com today. You can come to the Arsenal at City National Arena or at the VGK Authentics kiosk behind Section 10 at T-Mobile Arena during all Golden Knights home games. Dave Goucher with Gary Lawless. Nick Waugh will join us here in a little bit, and we're going to get to a lot of other news around the NHL after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Golden Knights getting back at it here after the NHL All-Star Weekend and their bye week. They'll take on the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night here at T-Mobile Arena. Of course, Edmonton going for 17 straight wins. And for the Golden Knights, this was the point last year where they really took off post-All-Star break and all the way to the Stanley Cup. We'll see if history repeats itself or not. We're happy to be joined on the show by the birthday boy, Nick Waugh, 27. Is 27 feel 27? Do you feel any older today than you did yesterday?
Yeah, it seems like 1 year older. It makes a big difference, but really, it's just one day, pretty much.
You're getting up there.
Yeah,
27.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did you say happy birthday? I can barely speak
Joyeux
English.
anniversaire.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, good. Hey, how was the break? What'd you do? What'd you do the last week or so?
We went to Mexico with a bunch of guys on the team. I think Hager was there, Whitey, Huddy was there too. We had Coley was there. We had a big bunch with all the girlfriend and wives, and we had a good time for sure. Spent some time on the beach, a couple of nice dinners, and it was fun.
White Cloud said, "What's the area you went to? How do you say it?"
Pontamita.
Pontamita. Yeah, he said he was really looking forward to it. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that was a good time
Good
for
stuff.
sure.
Good stuff.
What's the day like, and what's the day in Mexico like for Nick Waugh? Sleep in, it's
Especially the first couple of days after that trip we had in New York, and we also flew the next morning pretty much, so we didn't have that much sleep. So the first couple of days we slept in, but go on the beach, have a couple drink, a nice quesadilla there by the beach or by the pool, and have nice talks with the boys.
frozen margarita, Corona. What's the
I'm more a beer
right.
type of guys. Over there was Modelo's Pacificos.
sure.
Yeah.
And in the water, or you just stay on the beach? Do you make it a quick stay in the water? Or how do you work it?
We actually spent a lot of time at the pool.
Yeah.
We didn't go that much in the water. It was a lot of at the beach it was a lot of waves there. Just spend as much time at the sun there and go for a little swim sometimes.
Are you ocean or lake or pool? What's your preference?
That's a tough one. I guess coming from where I'm from back home, we have so many lakes. So go fishing or spend some time in the lake is always fun.
Do you do the competitive, you're a very competitive person, obviously you're playing professional sports, you turn it off for a little bit, but is there a beach volleyball game going on and you're you guys get into something like that, or is it all completely relaxing?
No, Gary, there's always that part that stays with us. For that trip, it was cards.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, when we were at the pool or at the beach, we had the cards going, so the guys are always a little competitive with that.
You're good at cards, I'm told.
I'm actually not the greatest at one of the games we play because I haven't played for that long. Some guys, I would say, I don't like to say that, but Huddy's pretty good. I'd say I'm maybe a little bit better at poker.
Poker's your game.
Poker's my game, yeah.
Excellent.
Who's the most, we see the guys on the plane, like certain guys they'll play, right, different card games. Who's the most competitive of the group?
I gotta say Marchie. I mean, we have two tables going. I'm on the first one. They're closest to the exit, and the other table's a little further. And we always hear Marchie screamings when he wins a hand. So I have to go with him.
We last year when Kessel was on the team, they would get in arguments, whatever was it. We're at the very back of the plane, and every once in a while, you and your Marshall just screaming at Phil. Phil would never I think he would just kind of keep throwing the bait at him because you never heard him screaming.
No, Phil is not as loud as Marchie, but two really competitive guy. And when Phil wasn't winning, he was pretty quiet. He doesn't he's getting a little mad there. And Marchie tries to get him going, so he keeps chirping him. So it was
I remember walking by one day,
table.
and Kessel said to Marcia, "So I'm going to beat the heck out of you for $1 million right now."
Yeah, I believe that.
So when you get back here yesterday, you get back on the ice, is it just kind of you pick up where you left off with the guys, and is it the chirps right away, and is it like you just never miss a beat? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think especially because the guys were excited to be back, right? We we had a pretty tough schedule before the break there, a lot of games. So a little break. I think the guys are refreshed. They're happy to go again. So, yeah, I think the chirps were going for sure yesterday.
What do you make as to where you guys are at right now? I mean, you come off the Cup. It seemed like the first half of the season, maybe going into Christmas, the schedule was a real grind. Did this little breather come at a good time for the group?
Yeah, I think so, especially with obviously the injuries we had. It's helping getting some guys back for sure. I think we had a little stretch there before around Christmas time, or a little bit before Christmas. We didn't play as good as we'd like, but I think lately we found ways to win with all the guys that were out of the lineup. So, but you look at last year, I think we played our best hockey after the All-Star break. So it's the last stretch, and we'll try to do the same this year.
You know, we watch it every night, and Dave on the TV side and myself on the radio side, and we're commenting on what's in front of us. And 2 or 3 times in the last little stretch, Nick Waugh, once again, best player on the ice for the Golden Knights. Are you playing the best of your career right now?
I'm feeling really good. Obviously playing with Marchie and Barbie helps a lot. They're making a lot of plays out there, and with all the guys that are out of the lineup, I get obviously a better chance. I'm playing a lot more as well. So I'm feeling good, that's for sure.
Does it click in for you at some point in time where, like, you're big, you're strong, and you can really hold the puck? Does it click at some point in time, where you're like, I'm better than a lot of those guys on the other side. I can dominate. Like, does that seep into you at some point in time?
Yeah, it does. I always had that confidence in myself. But obviously, like I said, the more ice time you play, the better you feel. Also, when the points are coming, it helps confidence and gives you that little push that you can do it even more. So I've been feeling really good, and I think that's when I play my best hockey. It's when I make plays. I'm patient with the puck. I protect the puck, and I think that's where I'm at my best.
Do you have a tendency, Nick, to try to make more plays just because you have different line mates? You're with Marchessault and Barbashev as opposed to, you've been attached at the hip here for a few years with Carrier and Colasar. Are you conscious of trying to make more plays because you're playing higher up in the lineup? How does that work?
A little bit. I guess the role is a little bit different. Obviously, you look at those 4 guys, everybody can make plays there. They're all NHL players and really good NHL players. So it's just when I play with Will and Coley, we're trying to bring energy, we're trying to bring physicality. Hard to play against. Where when I play with Marchie and Barbie, I think we're making more plays, especially on the entry. We're trying to keep control and making more plays that way, trying to keep more puck possession. So it's a little bit different for sure.
Is this tomorrow night's game bigger than, let's face it, Bruce just said it in his little chat with the media. He said there's bad blood last year. You went in there this year, you lost to them in overtime. Are the Oilers one of your big rivals?
Oh yeah, for sure. With what happened, especially in the playoffs last year, I think it was our toughest matchup as well. They have a really good team. They're obviously going for it. So, and they're in our division. So, they're obviously coming in here with a lot of. Obviously, they won 17 in a row. So they obviously want to keep it going. But it's our plan to stop it, play our best hockey, and it's going to be a good match for sure.
Don't give them too much credit. They've only won 16 in a row.
Oh, 16. Yeah, sorry.
Hopefully it doesn't get to 17.
No, it won't get there.
Tomorrow night.
Way to go.
So we mentioned you playing up with Marchessault and Barbashev. We'll see how it unfolds tomorrow if you're out there at the same time with somebody like a Connor McDavid. If and when that happens, how do you approach it from your standpoint?
Obviously, I think when you're playing against those top guys, either it's McDavid or Draisaitl, they wanna create turnovers and go the other way. So you got to be mindful of that when they're on the ice. Don't make any turnovers, especially at both blue lines, because it's gonna come back quick. So, but I think at the same time, just play your game. I think if you spend as much time in the offensive zone, they're gonna be defending. So I think it's a good way to approach it too.
You're 27 now. The day when you got traded, it was in the off season. 22, I think you were right, or 21 or 22 when that happened. What went through your mind? Was it like, oh boy, Carolina's given up on me or Vegas wants me. What was your first reaction?
No, for me, I really saw it as a new opportunity. Obviously, I played against the Wolves in the final in the AHL a couple months before, so I knew they saw me play there. So I figured they liked the way I play, and also the team was it was there after 2 years, so it was pretty much a new team as well. So I knew it was a really good opportunity for me.
You've grown up here now, right? It's like a lot of your changes have happened with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, it's been unreal all those years. I had only good things to say about this organization from top to bottom. It's been unreal for real for those last 5 years.
Was the break more beneficial mentally or physically for you, or a mixture?
I'd say a mix of both. A little bit banged up from that trip in New York, I would say, but not too bad. But the mental part of it also, I would say, is big for sure.
Did you get to say goodbye to Brayden Pachal yesterday?
Yeah, I did. We're losing a big soldier there. I think it's good for him. I think he's gonna have a new opportunity. I think he deserves to play in this league. So I'm happy for him, but I mean it's sad to see him go.
Different bond you have with guys that, when your names are together on the Stanley Cup, what did Fred Shiro say? Win tonight, and we walk together. Yeah. We walk together forever.
Yeah, exactly. He's part of it, and all those guys we're gonna remember forever. So it was like I said, it's sad, but it's a good opportunity for him.
Last one for you. What's the birthday celebration look like? What's on tap for later today and tonight?
Not much. Probably maybe gonna treat myself with a little Chipotle for lunch. I don't know. Maybe
nothing but the best.
And I don't know, a nice dinner, nice cake maybe. Not too much because we have a big game tomorrow, but no, nothing crazy.
I love Chipotle. Enjoy Chipotle.
Yeah, I will.
That's great. Nick, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Big splurge.
Yeah, that's right. Happy birthday again. Thanks, Nick. Nick Waugh joining us here, turning 27 years old today. We'll continue. Lots more to come. Going to talk about the NHL back to the Olympics, international hockey, and some interesting moves here during the bye time. The LA Kings firing their coach. A couple of trades have been made as well. After this on Fox Sports Las Vegas. segment here of Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports in Las Vegas. Of course, part of the Foley Entertainment Group, AFC Bournemouth is climbing the table in the English Premier League, where they take on some of the best football teams in the world. Show your support for the Cherries by catching their matches via stream on NBC's Premier League coverage of streaming on Peacock. Make sure to also visit the Arsenal at City National Arena to pick up some Bournemouth merch, including jerseys, scarves, and lots more. To learn more and be a part of the club's exciting new era, make sure to visit afcb.co.uk. Up the Cherries.
You rock this. You rock the. I'm pretty loud here all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
he's very loud.
Yeah,
Can you lower, Gary?
You rock the.
Maybe mute.
You rock the scarf every once in a while.
I do. Especially when they gave it to us that first time for free. We had wore them on TV. It was great. So we kind of mentioned it a couple times here, Gary. Exciting news, during the All-Star week here that in terms of NHL players returning to international competition. And I guess we'll just start with the Olympics. They were supposed to go, NHL players and coaches, including Bruce Cassidy, in 2022 to Beijing. They had to pull out due to the pandemic, but announced they will go back now to Milan in 2026. Looks like it'll be Nice, France in 2030. So when they get back in 26, it'll be the first time for NHL players since 2014 in Sochi. So exciting news. And, Gary Bettman said, look, this was something that was really, really important to the players. And they reached an agreement. Marty Walsh, of course, is still relatively new on the job as the head of the Players Association. And the NHL is back in the Olympics coming up here in a couple of years.
Yeah, and, I guess, they're going to play the Four Nations tournament next year. And that will be, Canada, the U.S., the Swedes, and
Finland.
The Finns. So, right off the bat, Jack Eichel will play for Team USA. You would think that, Shea Theodore, Mark Stone, Alex Pietrangelo would all get a look from Team Canada. William Karlsson for the Swedes. I don't think Vegas doesn't have any Finnish players on the roster right now. So that's just, off the top of your head. But the other part of it that, Bruce mentioned, he was on the coaching staff. They were supposed to play in Beijing in 22, and it was canceled. So, Doug Armstrong was the GM of Team Canada at that time. And, they name it ahead of time because of the cycle. So my guess is the management and coaching group for Team Canada and Team USA will be named for the Four Nations, and they'll probably carry over. I guess if it's a disaster for one of those two countries, they might make some changes. Certainly, if you win, you'd bring the same people back. The point I'm making is, Kelly McCrimmon will be in the mix to be named the general manager of Team Canada. He has a past with Hockey Canada. Since he joined the NHL, it's him or Julien Brisebois has been the most successful GM in the NHL over that span of time. So, and then of course Bruce is right there with John Cooper, John Cooper, Jared Bednar, and Bruce Cassidy. They all have win points percentages well into the 650s in their time in the NHL. So I think those guys are all in the mix to be named head coach. I guess if you were doing it tomorrow, I don't know if it's Bruce or John. It's very close in my mind. And I guess if it's Kelly, it's Bruce.
Probably.
If it's Julien Brisebois, it's going to be John. But I think that'll be a really interesting sort of phase to see how that all goes in the next little while.
Four Nations face-off is in February, so a year now, right?
Yeah.
February of 25.
Yeah, they'll name
Right.
their staffs soon.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 games in 9 days. You're saying Boston in the States, Montreal in Canada.
Yeah,
Those
that's
will
my
be
understanding.
the two locations, and then the Olympics in 26 in Milan. It looks like in 30 in Nice, France. Not official just yet, but it's good to see they worked it out too, Gary. Because I think over the years, there was always one of the things Gary Bettman made sure to say, kind of pointing out to the owners. the owners, the NHL owners, are not on the hook for any of the major costs for this to happen. You know, they worked it out with the IIHF. There were a lot of hurdles to kind of, I guess, jump over, but they were able to do that.
You know, I read some notes about, you know, look at all that's been missed because Gary Bettman hasn't wanted to pay for. Well, Gary Bettman works for 32 owners. It's a business like any other. You know, listen, I got to go to Sochi and watch the tournament, and it was fascinating. It was great to watch. It was really fun. And I think it is really good for the game and draws better attention to it. But, you know, there were business considerations that needed to be cleared up. And, you know, the IOC has finally, you know, kind of come to the table in the sense that they're going to let the NHL use highlights. They're going to, you know, you don't see any clips from the past Olympics because the NHL doesn't have access to it. The IOC holds on to it and they don't share it. So there's going to be more of that. And then, yeah, the IIHF, they benefit more than anybody else from having the NHL players there. So they're going to pay for the costs.
We have 2 minutes left. I want to just touch on the LA Kings and Todd McClellan. They started the season 27-4. They've lost 14 of 16 since. They won his last game as coach.
Yeah,
just the last week in Nashville, but he's let go, and Jim Hiller bumped up from the assistant to the head job.
Yeah, Todd McClellan's not the guy that didn't get a number one goalie there, and he's not the guy that traded Iafallo and his name eludes me for a second here. Velarde to Winnipeg for Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's been an unmitigated bust to this point. I won't pretend I don't like Todd. I do. Yeah, I've known him for quite a while. I think he's a really good NHL coach. I do think Jim Hiller is going to do a good job. Guy's been around for a while. He's worked under Todd. He's worked under Mike Babcock. He's had real success in junior hockey as well. So I wish Jim all the best. But I think Todd paid the price for some organizational failure there in LA. And, you know, I listen, I still think that's a really good roster. We'll see what they can do at the deadline to try and get back in the mix. But right now they're a wild card team. And I don't see the top three in the Pacific changing. I think those three teams are going to be, it's going to be Vancouver, Vegas, and Edmonton. I'm not sure of the order of finish. You know, I think Vegas and Edmonton are going to want to have something to say about that, but I don't think LA's getting back out of the wild card picture.
And they're on their bye right now. Kings don't play till February the 10th. Quick best wishes to Lanny McDonald, the Hall of Famer. Had a cardiac incident coming back from the All-Star game. Looks like he's on the road to recovery in hospital in Calgary. Of course, Golden Knights tomorrow. Edmonton Oilers. It'll be, of course, right here on Fox Sports Las Vegas with Dan and Gary. TV side on ESPN+. But catch the pregame show on Scripps Sports at 6:30 tomorrow as the Golden Knights take on the Edmonton Oilers, trying to end what is right now a 16-game winning streak for the Oilers. Thanks to everybody for helping us out here today. We thank Nick Waugh for joining us as well. Dave Goucher, Gary Lawless saying good afternoon from our studios here in downtown Summerlin on Fox Sports Las Vegas.